Good evening, I'm Garrett Jackson, and welcome to my podcast, for which we call Be Our Guest. And tonight we are meeting after the candidate forum here in the City of Lawton for Ward 4. Okay. In front of me I have a group of citizens who attended the Ward 4 political forum put on by the Lawton Sill Chamber of Commerce. And at the start of this, I'd like to say that this is no way sponsored by the Lawton Chamber of Commerce. This is an independent podcast asking opinions of people who live within the City of Lawton about what they just witnessed. So by a show of hands right now, who currently lives in the City of Lawton? Thank you. Who currently lives in Ward 1? Ward 2? Ward 3? Ward 4? Ward 5? Ward 6? Ward 7? Or Ward 8? Where do you live, sir?
I stay behind HTO.
Where's that at?
On Cash Road.
On Cash Road across
Yeah,
from...
Cash Road is 38, so I stay back there.
Okay, so you don't know what ward you're in?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I just moved back.
But you live in Lawton, though. Okay, good.
That's Ward...
Across from,
I know you good. Yeah, you can't get back there.
Okay. So my first question tonight. Okay. I'm recording now, so
He's right behind ATO. HTO.
the tea place.
Right. He said in that neighborhood right over there.
Yeah, I
So-
stay behind HTO.
okay. Okay. Last call for anybody who wants to be in the after show. Okay. Okay, first question tonight for those who live. We just established everybody lives here in the City of Lawton, okay? Why is a candidate forum like this so important to the citizens of Lawton? Go ahead, ma'am.
I feel that it's very important because you can see in the direction that they want the city to go and where they're at now in their participation of the city and what they're going to do to maybe progress. Because someone say, like the word said, change. What do you want to change? And so when you talk about what aspect of what your vision is to be part of the change and what you want change, then that gives us a candidate on how you can figure out which one you need to vote for.
Okay. You were next, ma'am.
I think that even if you don't live in the ward that this debate is part of, that this council person, the position here represents the city. They make decisions that the whole city is affected by, and I've seen quite a few decisions by George Gill, for one, that, for instance, moving the audience participation portion of the city council meeting to the end of the meeting instead of at the beginning.
Okay, so that's not the question I asked. The question I asked is, why are these types of forums put on by the Lawton Sill Chamber of Commerce so important to the citizens of Lawton?
They're important so that we can understand where the candidates are coming from. But I think there were a lot of softball questions in this one.
Okay, fair enough.
I wish that they would have had citizens ask questions as well.
Okay. Sir, you're next.
This is a very good format, first and foremost. However, I want to agree with my contemporary next door to me. It should be some candidate questions that we will be to ask from the audience. We should get some participation. Citizen is the first step of representing democracy. The second portion is the city council up here. And everybody should be able to sit here and ask questions of their elected representative, regardless of who they are or where they're from, and get that full information before they make the decision on who they're going to vote for. So these should happen, I think, for every election, and they should happen often. So that way people can make the best decision for themselves and for their families.
I'm seeing a lot of head shaking. Show of hands who really like what the Lawton Sill Chamber of Commerce put on. Okay.
I come to a lot of them. I come to them.
Okay. My next question is, tonight we had the opportunity to see two candidates, and some of you touched on whether or not the questions, you mentioned softball questions just a second ago, you mentioned questions asked by people. Do you think that these types of events should be, how do I want to say this? Do you think these types of events should be done for not just city council, but for mayor and for county commissioner and other local officials like sheriff and other local officials?
I believe if you are a part of a city and going to hold a public office, it is part of your duty to let the people know your position in the office you are about to hold and or your position working with others in the city.
There's a lot of times where you can read in the paper what someone says, but that doesn't really give you a sense of who they are. I think it's really important that we get to hear them speak, hear what they sound like, and ask them. I do think it's sometimes good to ask them some questions that are not scripted. I think it's important, though, that we remember that when we open it up to the crowd, sometimes that's where we start to get into trouble, people going off track and not being respectful of the candidate, because I think that's one of the reasons why people have a hard time running.
Okay.
I think that we need to get more people out to vote, and this is a really good way to, expose the candidates and also for them, the potential voters, to see that there's a lot of citizen interest, and maybe it will interest other voters as well to actually participate in their civic responsibility to vote.
Okay. Anybody else would like to speak on that question? Okay. Now, looking at the City of Lawton overall, there's been a lot of talk about different things. The candidates were given some questions tonight. Of the, I believe it's 7, yes, the 7 debate categories. What category did you think was the most important? And I'm going to read them real quick. Public safety, economic development and jobs, tourism and regional positioning, Fort Sill, long-term vision for Lawton, infrastructure and city services, quality of life, and community amenities.
Oh, I'll start. Yeah, okay. Number one, they're all equally important to start off with, but we got to start somewhere. So I want to look at the most vulnerable populations first. So as we're talking about city council, who would that be? That'd be our population over 65, 70, particularly those who are single. Loneliness is an issue in this state. It's an issue in this city. So I would start there. Those are the people who've already done the work. So they've done the work and they don't have much time. Well, hopefully they have much time, but we don't need to wait for that. We need to make sure they have a good place now.
Okay.
Number one.
So my question was,
Public safety.
public safety.
Public
okay.
safety. But it all ties together because with that public safety, making sure they're safe, what do? Now, economic. They took away the mall and they turned it into Vista, whatever that thing is. Well, they probably raised 23 jobs. I'm not sure. But I can tell you what they took away when they did that. They took away the only place that seniors had to go in safety and walk. My dad walked that mall every Saturday for 20 years, and we stayed in Altus. And he would drive up here, and he would walk that mall because it was the only place that he can go. It was covered. It was safety. It was secure. So what I would do, so you look at those two, safety, and then for my seniors, and then what about our kids?
Okay.
What are we doing for them?
Anybody else
Just
want?
to get us started. Oh, yeah. I know you want to get out of here.
No, everybody don't pay attention.
I know. Yeah.
I believe it's quality of life.
Okay.
If one does not have a quality of life, other things will not be important to them, nor will they participate. And when you talk about quality of life, it's not really how you are supposed to feel, but it is actually how you feel about everything that supports your life per day.
Yes, ma'am.
Over here. Everybody will get a chance to speak.
I think it's the economy. I think all of those things we can have if we have money. If we don't have any money, there's not going to be any quality of life. We don't have any money, there's not going to be any infrastructure. If we don't have any money, there's not going to be any jobs. If we don't have any money coming into this city, building new jobs and building new things, we will lose the kids that are here. I see it in the small towns around here all the time. They have no jobs to go to, so they leave Cache, they leave Elgin, they leave all these little towns and go to the Oklahoma City, Tulsa, or in Texas. So I think it's all those things are great. But if you don't have any money, you can't buy anything. Just think about your household. If you don't have any money, you're not going to have any great meals, you're not going to have healthy things, you're not going to be able to do anything without dollars. So for me, important is we bring in some businesses here that get jobs and get money, get our taxes, we have property taxes, sell our houses so that people don't get stuck with a house and property taxes, property values start dropping. I think economy is it.
Over here.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm gonna say number 6, infrastructure and city services. And a couple of things that come to mind for me being engaged in the community is housing and the bus line. And we talk about jobs. So in order for them to have jobs, they need to have a way to get to the jobs because a lot of people do not have transportation. And that's what I often hear in housing, affordable housing. That is the key concern. Housing is a basic hierarchy need. If you don't have stability, everything else really don't matter, especially if there are jobs available. However, most employers will not hire individuals. They don't have any stability. The first thing they're going to ask, do you have a place and reliable transportation? Those are key. Anytime, anywhere you go, but you got to have stability, and housing is key.
Okay. My next question is, there were 7 topics. Was there a topic that you think should have been included, and what was that topic? And that's all I want for that is there a topic, and what was that topic, okay?
I reiterate housing. That is key because right now we have a housing crisis in Lawton, whether we want to talk about it or not. Again, it goes back to the housing. Now, I wish we'd have talked about housing and more about citizens that involves with citizens directly. I get it, Lawton infrastructure development, economic development, but that housing, it has to come in line because we have a lot of homeless people right now, and we need that on the road, on the street.
I think we're approaching 1,000 kids who are homeless as we speak in this city. Oh, I gotta agree. I think we're approaching close to 1,000 young men and women who are homeless right now. But I would say also education. Without a good education, guess what? Your hopes for a good job decreases. In this city, in this state, we have one of the lowest graduation rates, but we have a really abysmal pass rate to go into the military. And if we focused on that, that will fix some problems. If we just taught our kids to the level of passing the ASVAB, so that way when things got hard, they can join the military, then they can move on and have a career. But guess what? When you see the numbers that I've seen of the fail rate within this state of young men and women who graduate high school who cannot pass the ASVAB, it is disheartening. And education needs to be looked at.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I think one of the topics that should have been discussed was the ability of citizens to actually communicate to their council members at the city council meeting. And the audience participation has been good, a good forum to do that, but that was moved back to the end of the meeting after the executive session even. And I think that is pretty much a slap in the face to the citizens' right, First Amendment right to petition the government for redress of grievances. The mayor and every single council person went on and on and on for more than 40 minutes about how it was inconvenient for them to listen to us and how they didn't really want to hear what we had to say unless we had a broken pipe or something. So I think that is a discouragement for citizens to actually participate in the way their government is run, and that really should have been addressed.
And my concern is, I have to rebuttal that, is that my thing is about, it could be addressed about city council attendance, because like one of the people say, when you go to city council, I go to city council meetings. I don't care how long they are, I go and sit. And they do put on with the agenda. The agenda has to go out prior to the city council meeting so you know what's going on. But a lot of people only come to city council to complain. Nobody come with an idea on how we gonna do this, or you're doing this, a hole in my street, I put the mud on there, whatever. And so my thing is, talk about the city council exactly, the form, what it was, what all issues you can bring that can make a positive. You either part of the problem or part of the solution. There's only two types of people in this world, part of the problem, part of the solution. So do you have a solution? Can you come there with some positive thing that they're doing? Because no, we don't do everything right. Each one of us don't do everything right, but they're trying to do the best they can. And so that's my issue, concern on that is, if you don't like, I feel that if you say, you pray about things, and God will change. Because we can't change a man's heart or how they feel or think of it, but God can. And that's my thing, is attendance means a lot. I think you should come even when there's no concern, would you have an issue? I think you still should come, and that's my concern about that.
Okay. I have another question, and this question is for those who live actually in Ward 4. Okay? My Ward 2, Ward 4 people, can you raise your hand? Did tonight's forum change your mind about who you're voting for, yes or no?
I don't have an answer.
Just a yes or no question.
Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Very deliberate. I like it.
No.
Okay. My next question has to do with taxes. That was something that we talked about. Recently, the city council voted on spending some money on the CIP. There's a lot of money involved there. The question is, generally speaking, do you think the City of Lawton did a good job, a fair job, or a bad job explaining how the money would be spent? Remember the question. Did the City of Lawton, not necessarily the council, do a good job, a fair job, or a poor job of explaining where that money would be going? Does everybody understand the question? Okay.
I feel they did. If you go by the line items, if you look at the thing, they give you the piece of paper, they put up on the screen, you can always make a copy of it. But I feel like that when they do the line items, that's when you get to real look and see where the money is going to. And a lot of times people don't look at the line items, they just look at the expenditure of it, and they don't get the fullness of why that's on the line item. Because you gotta come to some of the council meetings prior to that before they even do the presentation.
I have mixed feelings because when graphics are presented, they are likely to be already done. So the CIP is a guide to follow. And if the citizens know where that pocket of money is going before it's spent, some discussion could be had. But after it is lined and spent, that's the end of it.
Show of hands real quick. Who has attended a city council meeting in the last 12 months?
All the time.
In person, or you mean watched it?
Say again?
Watched it or in person?
Who's watched it on YouTube?
I've watched
Okay,
it.
I have a question for you about watching it on YouTube. Do you feel that watching it on YouTube is important for you to be informed on being an educated citizen about what's going on in the community?
Yes, I have a hard time getting to the meetings. Usually you have something else. But I think if I go back and watch it, usually after, so it's like too late for me to do anything unless it's something that's pending that's going to come up at the next meeting. But watching them, I think, is important. I think if you don't watch them or if you don't attend them, I really don't know if you understand sometimes what you're complaining about. I mean, because you get a little bit of like, hey, that doesn't sound right. But if you watch it, then you can actually hear what was actually said. No newspaper, no offense, but no newspaper or no media can like give you a word for word transcript of what happened.
So let me follow up on that. Do you think that the City of Lawton should maybe invest in recording and broadcasting through YouTube and Facebook all public meetings, regardless of whether or not they're the city council meeting or not?
Yes, I think that would be great, especially if they're like committees that belong to the city council. You talked about LIDA, all the committee meetings. There are minutes there that you can read, but I think it's easier for most people if you just could pop it up and watch it for 15, 20 minutes. All the public stuff that has to be public anyway, that's in the transcript, and you kind of get a better idea of what's happening. A lot of things are done in committee and then brought to the council with their recommendation. And so by the time it gets to the council, maybe you missed a lot of why they made that decision, why the committee made that decision. So if you don't watch the committees, you don't really know. The council does, but you don't. So it's like, hey, why did they decide that? Well, a lot of that stuff was probably done in committee where they discussed why we made that decision and why we made that recommendation.
Okay. Last question for everybody. Okay. I realize that this was a candidate forum, and this is the first time I have seen a candidate forum put on, and I think the Lawton Fort Sill Chamber of Commerce did a wonderful job putting this on, especially since everything was moving towards a runoff election. Do you think that this type of forum and public voices on podcast and the media and the different things that are happening in our community give the people more of a voice or less of a voice when it comes to our city government?
I'm gonna have to say this. I'm gonna say this. We can go back to city council meeting. If they do audience participation, but the only thing about it, if you're watching it on YouTube or on whatever media you have at your house, you cannot do audience vocally, do audience participation. So they do have audience participation with the agenda. Each time that he asks, Mayor Booker, does anyone from the audience? Sometimes people sit and don't say anything, but your voice is not heard if you're not there. You know, you can make it why I can't do this, why I can't go there, but if it's something that's important to you or vital to you, you'll be there.
Go ahead. And then we'll wrap up.
I know that two of us at least asked if we could make a statement to have it read because we couldn't attend a meeting. One person was recovering from an illness, and we were told no, that's not part of the procedure. So I think they should probably amend that. I also think too a split screen. I saw Sean Cummings address his council, and there's a camera from the front so you can see who's talking, and then of course from the back so you can see the whole council. I think that would add a degree of relationship to the citizens who are actually speaking. I think that would be a help.
Okay, so do you think forums like this and public media like the Lawton Town Crier and different podcasts that exist in the community help citizens be better informed? Yes or no? Because that's more of an answer about the city council, and that's.
I think it does, except that the citizens didn't really have an opportunity to ask questions, and I think that we really need a forum like that as well, more like a town hall. But yes, this was a very good idea.
What about what you're doing right now with me asking questions for a podcast?
I think it's a great idea too. I did not expect it, and I think it's a wonderful little
Yes, that was
treat to this.
I need subscribers. Who's next?
You know, participating within this community that you live in is important. But how do you do that when there's competing priorities? When you have a military base that's on a 2-hour recall for possible deployment, when you have working parents or single parents who kid have to go to an after-school program, How do you participate in a community when your time is your money? In economics right now, you got to work. So when you elect somebody, you have these forums that you can get the best that you can hear from that person at that time, and hopefully, and you pray that they're doing the right thing so that you can go about your business, your day, and continue to work and continue to support the whole community. And so having this forum is great, but we should have questions from the audience. I'm not sure where those questions came from, and then there should be some second and third questions so that we can dig even deeper. So it's a good start. I'm glad we had it. This is my first time being at one of these locally live, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. But you got to ask yourself, the people who weren't here, that demographic, where are those kids under 21, that 18 to 21, where are they at? Where are the middle group? And then where are single parents? They're at work. And you got it. So how do we fix this to where they can participate as well? Because can't everybody make it to those city council meetings? If you are a single parent, guess what? Chances of you getting that hour off is going to be hard. And if you do take off, then how are you going to supplement that food that you're missing?
It's more like 4 or 5 hours.
Yes. So.
I know meetings like this or activities like this make a lot of difference because League of Women Voters, one of the slogans is your voice, your vote. If you don't voice what you believe should be done in a proactive manner, then you're likely not going to go vote. But to have I call it after action segment like now, if my motive isn't right and you have the person talking negativity, it defeats the purpose of everything that you want to do.
I just want to finalize that I was a single parent. I had 2 children. I worked at Fort Sill. They was in cheerleader, stump team, football, everything. I did it all. And then I was on volunteer too in the community. I wanted, and then when I came to a meeting like this, they had the drug. I drug them to every meeting I had. I drug them to your house, drug them to whatever, and I showed them what it was. So it starts within the parent. Where are they at? Because the parent is not involved in it. A lot of parents, you can sit there and complain. I tell people, make a difference. Can you make a difference in someone else's life? And so I drug them every way to show them what it's all about. You can do all that. You can do it. I was a single parent, raised them from all the way up. I had baby all the way up and had to raise them up and go to work every day at Fort Sill. And I know that it can be done. That you can do it. You just have your mindset do it, that I'm going to make a difference and show the child that they can make a difference in the world too.
Can you repeat the question? I just want to make sure that I'm clear.
So you're assuming I remember the question.
Yes.
Say again?
Are these important?
Yeah. So the question has to do with, are forums like this and social media and podcasts and different things that we have now important for keeping the citizens educated about what's going on, yes or no?
And you said the key word I was thinking about was education. It's only important if the community is engaged. If it's just one-sided, we don't have opportunity, to engage the candidates. It is not really valuable, I would say, because the citizens need to be heard. We need to hear from the candidates because it was a lot of questions I had as well. So I didn't know they was going to have a structure, but only if the citizens are engaged and able to be included in the conversation.
Last comment over here.
I think these are important, and I think we probably need to take it even a little bit further. We have a lot of technology. There is no reason why we cannot have like a database full of all the council meetings. We can't have podcasts, some one place, one-stop shop where people can go and look for your podcast or any podcast, and they group them. I mean, YouTube is just free. I mean, you can do so much with technology, and we could do so much even with our city council meeting. If I'm online watching it live, Why can't my question be typed in and somebody do it, answer my question? Why can't we do that? That's only because that's the current rules, but their rules can be changed. So I don't want it to be disruptive. You already said they're like 4 or 5 hours, but hey, how about if they go online and somebody looks and says, hey, there's 15 people asked this same question. We probably need to address this. And the rest of them can be addressed after the meeting. Someone gets online, city council people are given the questions, and if they choose to answer them, they can or not. Technology is our friend right now, and there's no reason why we have to be physically sitting in the same room together. I work at Fort Sill too. We use technology all the time to teach people how to do their jobs. And so I don't understand why we can't do that in the city. Somebody mentioned that about the city hall. We really have to do something with the technology at City Hall. We are way behind. And those are the kind of things that they need to talk about. When they talk about infrastructure, I don't mean roads, I mean technology. Do we have Wi-Fi? Do we have Wi-Fi in our library? We have Wi-Fi where we need to have it in the city buildings? Do we train our employees on how to use that technology? There's no reason why everybody can't be more informed.